Hey, it's Pete Cohen and welcome to the My365 podcast series, and today's episode is 142 and it is an interview with the amazing Susie Greaves. Susie is an author and she is the editor of what I believe is the best magazine on the face of the earth. It is Psychologies magazine, and the magazine is completely dedicated, just like I am, to empower people to live a nourishing and fulfilling life. What a great story Susie has to share with us all about what is possible and really daring to dream and daring to dream big. I believe we should all be dreaming. It's free to do that, and I'm sure you will find her story absolutely inspiring. She's met some incredible people from all over the world, so get ready for another game-changing podcast with episode 142, the interview with the editor of Psychologies magazine, Susie Greaves. So it's Pete Cohen, it's a My365 podcast. I'm absolutely delighted. This is a podcast I've been looking forward to for a long time. It's the amazing Susie Greaves. Susie, how are you?
I'm very good, but can I just tell you, I'm not Susie Greaves.
Susie?
Today, from the weekend, I turned 50 and I've changed my name to Susie Walker. Just you're hearing it first, yeah.
Wow.
So in the next magazine, we're going to announce it.
Wow,
The
duck in my head was going, what, I've either got your name wrong there, and I'm thinking, am I crazy? And then I was thinking, you've really changed how come you've changed your name?
Okay, well, we were doing a dossier, so every month we do a dossier, and our next dossier is about reinvention. And I got so inspired by it that I thought, okay, so Greaves is my married name, and I haven't been married to that man for 10 years. So I thought, you know what, it's my byline, it's my author name, it's everything. But I thought it's time. I've just had a big birthday, I've just turned 50. It's time to reinvent myself and to go with a new name.
Wow.
So
why Walker?
I was born on May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. Skywalker.
May the 4th be with you. Now you're talking even more my language.
Okay, so it's kind of, so I haven't gone back to my maiden name either, so I've created a new name. It's kind of a little bit of a family name as well.
Yeah.
There's a touch of a magical aunt who helped me like a fairy godmother, but I wanted like a new name for my third era going forward. So, and it's literally inspired by My Beautiful magazine, because I read that stuff and I think, yeah, new era, new way forward, new name.
So reinvention is a wonderful word. Is it one word? It is one word, isn't it?
Hyphen, apparently.
Hyphen,
My reinvention.
Invention. Now, I think one of the challenges I'm going to have in doing a podcast with you is it's going to be like opening Pandora's box, and I've got this feeling we could go in so many different directions.
Yeah.
But let's start off by telling us a little bit who you are, what you do, what you're passionate about.
Okay, so my name is Susie Walker.
Susie Walker!
Oh my God!
Yes!
The first time I've said that out loud in a proper interview format. So my name is Susie Walker. I am the editor-in-chief of Psychologies magazine. And this is not just a job or a magazine to me. This is my purpose, my mission. So our vision with Psychologies is to be a beacon of hope and wisdom. I think there's so much darkness out there, and I want this magazine in an entertaining, fun way to beam out love, compassion, inspiration. So wherever you are, whatever you're doing, whenever you feel, oh, I don't know whether I could do this anymore, you can reach for this magazine and just think, oh, I'll just have 5 minutes with a cup of tea in Psychologies magazine and just be inspired and find millions of ways to change your life through the magazine. So I started off like you as a coach.
Yeah.
So I was a mess in my 20s. I was smoking, I was drinking, just a complete, literally it was the AdFab era. Remember when AdFab was
absolutely.
on the news? I was a health editor. When I met you,
a
New Woman, which was
magazine.
Like the Loaded for women. Do you remember Loaded magazine?
Yes, absolutely, yes.
And I remember meeting you, that's where I met you.
Yes.
And,
what was I doing? Do you remember?
You were doing personal training.
Yeah.
And then you were going to do some personal training, and I was a health editor, but I was smoking 20 cigarettes a day and just getting drunk all the time and falling down and not being the best example of being a good health editor. But it was those days. It was fun. And that's when I experienced coaching. So I had a coach for the first time and I was like, oh, what is this American
nonsense?
And then,
you were going to say...
No.
Okay, sorry.
What about this nonsense? And then I had one session. I just thought, oh my goodness, this is just life-changing. Unbelievable.
What was it about that made you think this is life-changing?
One, it was being listened to. I mean, when I know the kind of being able to be really heard and listened to, and then I had been in therapy before, so therapy is more about kind of healing old wounds, but with coaching it was this really dynamic feeling of moving forward, again just moving forward, which was really exciting. So I had this whole thing of, we said, what do you want to create? Mm-hmm. So I had all of these kind of pipe dreams of what I wanted to create, and he says, what would you have to believe to make that possible for you? And I just didn't understand what she meant. I said, what do you mean?
Yes.
What do you mean, what do I have to believe? I don't understand. And then from that conversation, I realised that I just didn't believe I was good enough. I didn't believe I was good enough, clever enough. You know, I was this kind of skanky kind of 20-year-old northern lass who kind of staggered in. I thought it was just luck that I'd managed to kind of get these really good jobs, and I didn't believe in myself or my talent or anything. And then from then on, I just literally switched something in my head, and I was like, this is amazing. I love it. And then from then, and within 18 months, I'd stopped drinking. You know, I mean, I do occasionally have a big glass of wine like I did on my birthday. However, mostly, you know, I live a much healthier, aligned, purposeful life. And you know, that has so much to do with the inner work. I mean, it's not all coaching because I had to go back and do healing stuff as well.
Yeah.
But for me, coaching is such a dynamic, brilliant kind of vehicle, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, I mean,
I'm selling to.
Well, it's quite hard to put it into words. I mean, I like you. I'd love to help people, but I had a coach who not only helped me make millions, but he also saved my wife's life with the advice that he gave. And he was like it was fascinating. I saw things in myself I didn't like when I was around him because he was so comfortable in his own skin. He was like a mirror, but he just passed on so much stuff to me, and I just feel eternally grateful to pass it on to other people. But there's so much in what you just said, and it's like let's just talk about the magazine, because this is how does it feel to you when you go into places, and because this is everywhere, right? I mean, it's in every service station. It's in all
whenever I go, you'll know wherever I've been because I just go like this with them. So
it's you.
It's me.
It's you.
Yeah, honestly.
Well, you're everywhere.
They drive me. I drive everyone with magazines, and I take pictures. And Madam, you can't take pictures here.
Yeah, right.
I've already done it. But I feel so proud. I feel so excited. Where I'll stand there at the magazine stand, and I'll see women picking up another magazine.
Yeah.
And I want to know why. I want to know why they picked up that magazine. What made them pick up that magazine? And I want to go, hey, have you seen our magazine? So, and I have done that a couple of times.
I've done that in bookshops with books I've written. Yeah. I've seen people reading my book, and I've turned to them and said, that's a really good book. And they go, how do you know? I said, I know the author. But this is amazing, and I saw this pretty much when it started, and it's really gone from strength to strength. And you see so many people reading this, and I loved what you just said there about why do people pick this up? What do you think? Why do you think people would pick this up as opposed to picking up, I don't know, TV Quick or Chat magazine?
I think we are a little bit scuppered by our psychologies. This is our mothership in France. This is the brand, and I think psychology. Often people think about it's to do with the head, and sorting your head out. But actually, our magazine is all about how to feel differently. So I had quite a lot of arguments with our French mothership because they were like, it's all about psychoanalytical. That they have a really interesting and brilliant take on psychoanalytic therapy and how that can help you. But I'm much more, this is about the heart. So my entry level is always to go through the heart in terms of changing the way people feel, rather than the way people, it is about thinking, of course, but it's about if you can change the way people feel, first of all. And that's what we're trying to do in the magazine is give this kind of sense and this feeling of anything's possible. You can do this.
What's so fascinating about the heart has a brain like nature. You know, the heart has neurons, which exactly, it goes a two-way process. And when you were saying that, I was thinking, okay, maybe when you had that first coaching session, you'd been working in the mental world, which is fine, but it's not, because we don't just live in the head. And then maybe for the first time you felt something that was more than just your head. Yeah. It was like the fact that, what do you think that was? Was it a calling, do you think? Do you think it was like waking up in something inside you that maybe you were put on this earth to do? Do you believe that maybe you were put on this earth to do this?
It feels like more and more that almost I've stopped setting goals now.
Yeah.
Because it's more that, because I can set goals and I can make it happen, but really this was given to me. You know, they rang me. And weirdly, I met the girl who put me forward for it last night at a party. And I said, thank you so much. You know, it was you who put me forward. But
why do you think she put you forward for it?
Because it was about kindness. So I had been at a big event interviewing Martha Beck.
Yes.
Martha Beck.
Yeah, of course.
I was doing that, and I was doing it for Psychologies magazine. And I came off, and the Psychologies team seemed really gloomy. I said, oh, what's wrong with you lot? And they're saying, oh, we've just been told we're being made redundant and we're moving to a different publishing company. And I just said, look, let me help you. I will coach you all for free. Just tell me what you need. And so I coached them all and helped them find the next step for them with the staying with the magazine.
And you just did that out of the kindness of your heart.
Yeah, because
you could see
I knew them, and I love the magazine, and you know I just wanted to do it. And that was a kind of, a kind immediately, let me help. How can I help? But you know, it's only half an hour once a week. Do you know what I mean? It's not a huge amount of time. And then from there, 6 months later, I got a phone call, you know, saying, we can't find an editor and we really think you'd be really good. Would you consider it? And at the time I had a coaching business, you know, I was building my own thing. And I just thought, can I think about it? And I sort of went for a run and I thought about it, and I just had that massive heart leap.
Yeah.
I just like, oh, this is amazing. So it's not, so I believe in coaching, obviously, but this allows me to create a platform for all of these amazing therapies and people and experts. So it doesn't always have to be about me. But the problem I always find is when it's all about me, and it's because it's not all about me. It's about all the tools. So for me, being able to create this platform for all of these amazing people is so exciting to me.
You're like, I'm not sure how you'll find this. What's the analogy? Not the similarity. Like Oprah.
Oh my God.
Well, if you think
I love her.
Okay,
I love her.
Yeah, but you think about what? Really? Oh come on. You've interviewed Oprah.
I did. And it was it was like a Christmas party. I was on the day of our Christmas party. No, listen, great day of our Christmas party. And we got the call that we'd got her. And that day, and you could only, so we were they were all partying on, all the girls. And I said, listen, so I rang, we were in London, and I rang, we couldn't get a private office where it was ringing, it wasn't face to face. And they said, okay, we've got Oprah waiting. It was in this massive boardroom that they put me in. It was literally London at my feet. I get goosebumps thinking about it now. London at my feet, talking, and they said, we'll just put you through. It took about 15 minutes to put through all the different things. And it's like, hello, this is Oprah. And literally my knees went when I was...
I'm not going to say what I was just thinking, what I probably would have done.
Oh my God, and she was everything. Everything that I thought she was and more. She was incredible. She was inspiring, and she listened, and oh my God, it's like talking to God, basically, isn't it? She is absolutely my heroine. She's a creative as well. She's not just a talker. She's an actress.
Yeah, you know, she's in that film A Wrinkle in Time, which is, for me, the whole Oprah thing was, I used to watch her years ago. I don't know how many of my friends, maybe I didn't probably tell them, but I watched Oprah work with people like Dr. Phil, Caroline Mays, the medical intuitive, who I was just like blown away by. Yeah. So many people, the guy who wrote Men Are From Mars, Women Are From, Paul Gray. John Gray. Yeah. All of these people that she brought into the public domain, who perhaps they didn't have a voice before, and to a certain extent, or to a great extent, that's exactly what you've done. You've given lots of therapists or coaches who do want to give so much. You've given them an opportunity
yeah.
to have a voice, and then people pick up the magazine and they get to hear that person's voice. And I don't think people change when we tell them what to do. I actually think people change when their perspective changes, and this is a perspective changing magazine, isn't it? Where
well, I'm very kind of clear about, I don't want coaches or therapists at the front of the room, as it say, telling us what to do.
Yeah.
What I want is for stories. It's the stories. It's so we have journalists going to coaches and therapists and doing really authentic, real stories about what happened and how do they change things. And I just think it's incredible, what the journeys that our journalists go on.
So have you ever come across Joseph Campbell, The Hero's Journey?
Yes. I've just been writing, literally yesterday I was writing about that. It's what I base all of my work on.
So that's amazing, because obviously he was best friends with George Lucas, which comes back to Walker.
I know.
And for those of you that don't know anything about Joseph Campbell, go and Google him. There's a film called Finding Joe, which was a man who dedicated his life to the teaching of mythology and stories, and basically looked at all of these stories, whether it be The Wizard of Oz or Star Wars, and saw the pattern of all of us on this journey. But the call to adventure, the coach is often, I think, can be that person that's Obi-Wan, that is calling you to say, look, come on. And we then face ourselves, like, do I do this? Do I not do this? So just tell me, let's just go back again. You were working for New Women magazine. Yeah. You then had a coaching session. Yeah. Well, then did you have a series of coaching sessions?
Yeah, then I had her. And then, I worked with her for 18 months.
18 months. And at what point did you think, right, I'm going to be a coach?
Yeah, I think it was around, about 6 months after that, I said, I'm going to be a coach. And I didn't mean to create a business or anything. I just thought, I just need to do this because it's great schools. And it was really expensive to train then. Yeah. And you can only do it in America. So I did all of this American coaching, and Thomas Leonard.
Thomas Leonard, yeah.
Oh, I mean, he was amazing. And, he taught me so much, and he was just brilliant. So I felt like I was taught by the best, and I got these amazing tools, and then started a tiny little practice. And then because I could write, of course, I was writing for the Sunday Times, and all these people, I got just loads of business. But what I wasn't very good at was building a business. Do you know what I mean? I learned all, I didn't know how to build database. Yeah. Stupid things that I didn't know about. But now I know how. So now I want to put all the mistakes and everything that I've learned into being able to, how do we get to as many people as I possibly can, who can, even it's not even, you don't have to have coaching, but if somebody's being kind, and someone will be kinder to them. And even if it's just that, they don't have to do any self-development, they don't have to do any therapy, but they could just maybe think about being kinder, or how could I find a more inspiring thought or something. So
when we look at dreams, so you obviously, was it a dream to start your own coaching business?
No. I think I always wanted to be a journalist. That was my dream.
And what was it about journalism? Telling a story?
Stories, creativity. I mean, for me, being able to create and to write stories, but I'm also curious. Nosy, some people call it. Yeah. I'm curious about what makes people tick. So for me, this job and the two things coming together are the perfect. So I'm finding out what makes people tick, and then finding experts that can make sense of the world. So
it sounds like The Matrix, which is, I'm writing a book at the moment called Inspirators, which is about leaders who want to follow themselves, who inspire themselves, and that bit in The Matrix where he's given the pill. Which pill do you want to take? And sometimes it's easier to take the pill of just the blue pill and living the life that everyone else is leading. But it seems like if we do take that pill of kind of bringing our best selves to the table, it's a journey of self-discovery, and it's quite a challenging journey.
It's a really challenging journey.
So what about that is it that is challenging, do you think?
Well, I think you don't know what you don't know. That's the thing. And so for me, my invitation, or rather massive shove, was I lost my parents to cancer, both of them, by the time I was 20. So I had literally the safety net had gone, and so I was pushed out into the world. And the self-development, so I started with Anthony Robbins, and as a journalist, and it was, again, the universe gifted me, they let me go to all of these Anthony Robbins things for free to write about them. So I did all of that stuff.
But you were still drinking and smoking at that time?
Yeah.
But
you know, I was there, going like this with my fag packet, but then kept on with the smoking and the drinking and blah, blah, blah. So it was a kind of I was reaching for this stuff, constantly reaching, but it wasn't penetrating.
Yeah.
I had lots of grief, and I was literally fighting for survival, I suppose, mentally and emotionally. So I had to do, that was a good example of, I kind of probably needed therapy before the coaching. So then I went back and I needed to do some healing and sorting myself out.
Yes.
And then realigned, and then I could move forward.
So it's so fascinating, and when you just turned up today, I just told you obviously my dad's.
Yeah.
By the time this goes out, I don't think my dad will be here anymore. But hey, listen, it's life, and I've been prepared for. It's the thing I've I think in my life the thing I've most been frightened of losing my mum and dad. My mum's still here, but being there for my mum over the last few months has been just one of the best things I've probably ever done. But it's not been easier. But I think already I'm starting to get stronger through going through this. Why do you think we have to go through things that are difficult in order to get better?
Well, I think we've learnt survival mechanisms, haven't we, when we were younger? And I think they help us survive and they keep us going. But what we need to do is get rid of those so we can learn to thrive, rather than just survive. So, for example, one of my coping strategies was being a pleaser. I've always been a pleaser, a good girl, doing the right thing. And I've had to, so I had a good job, when I went straight from university into a really good job. I was a manager of a translation agency. I had one of those huge mobile phones and a fancy company car.
Living the dream.
Yeah, but kind of.
Thinking
No, it wasn't for me. But I was just like, this is awful. I hate this. But it was that thing of so to be the pleaser, I got married very young. To be a pleaser I was doing all the right things. And I was like, no. So I had to stop being a pleaser to go down my own route. And so you have to, I think it's unlearning those survival mechanisms that you learned as a child, so that you can kind of connect with what you truly want to do, and maybe what you were. I don't know whether I believe what you were born to do. I don't know about that, but it's just to hear what your heart is telling you.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it, where you're able to kind of let go of stuff you've been holding on to, to then open yourself up to something else.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating how so many of us hold on to things that we don't really need to hold on to.
It's through fear, though, isn't it? It's just because we're scared. It's just because scared. You think, my dog, who's at the front of he's Oscar. He's so beautiful. But he's 10 now. And my son and I were kind of go, let's not talk about it. But, it'll be okay. It'll be okay. I mean, look what you're facing. But it will be okay. You think, how can I survive in the world without? But I learned that early on, that you can survive. But then my question is, because I saw my parents die very early, my thing was, I want to live to the fullest potential that I possibly can. And I want to learn how to do that. Who knows how to do that? Yeah. So then I turned to the self-help industry, therapists, coaching, because it's, and I think that happens a lot for when we lose our parents. So whatever age you are, it's another wake-up call to go, oh my God, how do I make the most of it? And then it stops being about you and starts being about, how can I make a difference? How can I give back?
So do you think that's something that is innate within all of us, to give back, to generate something in us that we want to share with other people?
It's true for me.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's true for
I think
everyone.
I like that, because it's all very well for us to say that's true for everyone.
I don't know.
And maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but that's none of our business, right?
Yeah, and there's no judgments to people who don't want to do that.
Yeah.
They do it in their own way, I think. Yeah.
And I think
it makes me happy to give.
Yeah.
So it is ultimately quite a selfish thing.
I think that's
it makes me feel good.
Great question for everyone to really ask themselves. What really makes you happy?
Yeah.
Or what makes you really feel alive? What makes you feel really alive? Is it the fact that you're knowing that somewhere another story is being created?
Yeah, I mean, ideas. So there's never, when we're sitting around in our features meetings, there's never a time when I feel more alive. is when we're coming up with ideas and discussing it. Someone's crying because it's like a bit therapy, and this is what happened to me, and it's brilliant. I love it because it's deep and meaningful, and then we're going to craft that idea into an amazing story that goes into the magazine that might change someone's life. I also like being in the water, so I like being in the sea and surfing, and I can't surf, but bodyboarding, and that makes me feel alive, just amazing. So yeah, they're two things.
So in terms of what is possible for people, I know everyone is from what you've seen and the stories that you must have heard, what is possible for human beings to experience and to be?
I think there's a piece about finding that kind of being comfortable in your own skin. I think in terms of what my wish for people is just to get that. And then from there, once you're comfortable in your own skin, you can start hearing the invitations and the calls from life and where you want to go. Yeah. So it's about how do you get there, and that is the journey to get to this place of not people pleasing, not reacting all the time. We all have an inner monster. Yeah. We all have one, an ego or a. Yeah. I'm not saying the ego is a monster, but we all
just
have
a part of us that is.
We all have a dark side. I mean, I love Darth Vader. I do.
I do too.
Yeah, so we all have that dark side, and it's being able to be comfortable with Darth.
So I suppose that whole thing of almost like stopping the world and looking at it from a different perspective, and realizing that maybe we are looking for things outside of ourselves to fulfill something in ourselves. Yeah. But really, the journey really begins where you kind of go inside and look at yourself and how you're moving through the world. And I suppose that is quite challenging for people because there's parts of us that maybe we don't really like or appreciate.
Well, going back to that original question, that was, what do you have to believe?
I wrote that down, by the way. Yeah.
So I didn't understand what you meant because I thought what I believed was true.
That. Yeah.
What I believed was true, this kind of idea. So how do we change our beliefs? And for me, the idea that you could change a belief was life changing for me. And then it's like, okay, I can change that perspective. If I can change that perspective, then wow, anything is possible then. If you can change the way you think and feel about yourself, that means you can create it any way you want.
Yeah, that whole thing about belief to me is truly fascinating because of a book that I know we've spoken about before, Think and Grow Rich, when Napoleon Hill talks about what the mind can conceive and believe you can achieve. Yeah. So to believe really is based on something that you can see. Yeah. And you obviously get fired up when you're in a meeting where lots of people are talking about what they can see, and you can build it towards something and then you can manifest that. Yeah. I think there's a huge sense of achievement for people when they've come up with an idea. So whether it's the idea of just tidying their house and tidying it and afterwards, wow, that was amazing, or to make something. But do you think there's something innate in most human beings where there's an amazing feeling of satisfaction from coming up with an idea, seeing it, and then going out and making that happen?
I think absolutely. I think, and in terms of that's why coaching works, isn't it? It's not just about coming up with the idea, it's about actually making it happen. Yeah. That's the thing. And, so many people, will come and then they kind of fall a bit, or they feel a little bit, I'm not very confident or whatever. And so when you've got a coach saying, it's okay, it's normal to feel, is it normal to feel like I'm not sure I can do that? For every event, I think, I can't do this, I really hate this, I'm really scared. But I just know that that's normal. I just know that I've never got over that. Yeah. But then I go on and I'm okay and I do it and it's fine. So, but some people think, that means I shouldn't do it. Do you know what I mean? It's learning about coming out of your comfort zone and what that feels like in that little kind of weird place where you're scared. Yeah. But it's living. So for me, it's living a brave life. That's my one piece of advice is live a brave life. Don't live out of fear.
So living a brave life, what is that? Moving through fear? Is it?
Yeah. It's listening to fear and going, okay, is this a real threat? Yeah. Or because fear's got good things to say. Don't jump over that. Or actually you're not skilled enough to do this yet. So it's listening to that, but then it's do it anyway. Just Do it anyway. And look, because everything, I mean, God, I've been rejected so many times. I've fallen on my face so many times by being brave. But that's when that's how I've learned all the best life lessons ever.
Yeah.
You know.
Me too. There's no question about that. But you're right. I think the role of coaching, because that popular expression, no man is an island, no one man is a company, no one man is a family. You know, we need people. And it is important for human beings, I think, to express what they're thinking and feeling. And I know one of the areas that you're keen to move more into the realm of, like I am, is helping more men. Because it seems like men are... What's your kind of opinion about that? About why men are struggle to be more open and honest about what they're thinking and feeling, and share love and share their passion for making a difference?
I mean, I've got a 15-year-old son, so I'm quite passionate about this. I think, you know, male suicide is the main killer of young men in this country.
It is, yeah.
It's horrific. And we've got to find a way of unlocking and answering all those questions. I don't know what the answer to those questions are, but it's finding a way, finding new role models for men of how to react in the world and how to be in the world, for us all to understand about masculine and feminine energy. It doesn't necessarily have to be about gender.
Yeah.
It can just be about the masculine and the feminine. And sometimes I really need my masculine energy to just get, you know, bang, 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 get things done, or blue or pink or whatever it is. And so just all of us. So for women to know how to be, let's say, masculine, more green energy, and for men to know how to do more yellow energy, let's say, just so they know, can I just tell you how I feel right now?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For us all to have.
So is it fear also, do you think, why people struggle to share what they're really feeling? To really what's going on?
Well, I think often we don't even know what's going on.
Yeah.
I mean, the first thing is to be able to acknowledge myself. And when I've been coaching, I always talk about the first step being coming out of denial. Actually, well, how do you feel? And sometimes I go, even now, after years of therapy, my coach will go, my therapist will say, how are you feeling? I'm like, I don't really know. I just feel, and it takes me at least 10 minutes to figure out actually how do I feel. Yes, I actually feel cross about this.
Yeah.
So I think it's having emotional intelligence for ourselves first to actually know how we feel, to be able to identify it and say, yes, that's how I feel, and then being able to express it in a healthy way.
I think what coaching can do is you can achieve more working with a coach in a short period of time than you could definitely trying to do it all, just trying to do everything all on your own.
Yeah. Coaching is incredible. I mean, it has changed my life on every single level. In terms of my career success, in terms of my team, we've had coaches come in to coach the team. It's been amazing.
So if you think of a scale between 0 and +10 and -10, +10 being the most happiest, everything is amazing with your life, and -10 is, suicide. I think a lot of people kind of live at the kind of -1, -2, -3, and maybe if they're not feeling very well, they go to the doctor, and maybe the doctor can help them get back to maybe just a neutral. How good can people really feel, and how does personal development fit into that in terms of helping someone to really start to value themselves and to, love themselves and move into a different way of moving through the world?
I think we've got to be careful with the kind of 10 out of 10 feeling. It's not about happiness. It's not just about feeling joy and happiness. And I think it's more about authentically knowing how you feel. Yeah. I think what happens when we get to the 0 bit, it's people, we're just numbed out. You're numbed out on busyness, on eating, on whatever it is that you're doing to numb your feelings. And I think how I would define that kind of 8 to 10 is being fully present with what's going on in your life and feeling all of your emotions.
Yeah.
So I think, and I think coaching 100% can nail that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's not about feeling happy and being positive all the time. It's just about I'm struggling a bit with this. Where can I get support? How can I get some help? How can I navigate past this? And knowing there's a way through, isn't it?
I think there's more to life than positivity. Positivity is good, but I love the work of Martin Seligman, the whole this whole flourishing thing, positivity, engagement, relationships, having meaning and achieving something. And I think once you can help people get into that sort of flow, it tends to bring out the best in people.
Yeah.
But as we kind of wrap this up, and I would encourage everyone that is listening to this to go and check out Psychologies magazine. That camera. There's absolutely no question about it. If anyone is interested in developing themselves, this is
become a subscriber today.
Yes, subscribe. Let's talk about some of your goals and dreams as far as where this is now going, because obviously we're moving into a new age where print is obviously not where it was, but people still love to read. But I know you want to. Tell me about where you see this all going.
So we're just working on plans for Psychologies TV. So for programs like this, Facebook Live, talking about inspiring people, talking about how to do this. So you get more and more tools. Also, we have something called the Life Leap Club, which is our kind of site for all of our subscribers, which is free and amazing. That we've got coaching tools in there. So it's basically having your own personal coach every month. So you can just dip your toe in the water, and then we can come to more sophisticated programs like yours, or work with a coach one-to-one, because that is where you'll get the most traction, the fastest. But what we're finding at Psychologies is it's the community. When you create a community of people who are positive, I have my ups and downs, frustrations, and so even I find myself going to my psychologist. I'm feeling a little bit. What, anybody got any advice? And just practical, really great stuff. To have a community like that is invaluable. And I know you've got a fantastic community, haven't you?
I didn't. My coach always used to say to me, get yourself a support group, and I didn't really understand what that meant. But now I do, and Napoleon Hill in Think and Grow Rich talks about the Mastermind Alliance, and that's the second principle of the 17 principles. And that was because, he realised that people would realise that, hang on, how can I help you? What can I do for you?
Yeah.
Rather than what can I take from you? Do you need anything? Can I serve you?
Yeah.
And when you bring people like that together who want to share in other people's success, there's something amazing where you get to rejoice in someone else's success, and whether they realise it or they don't realise it. And I'm sure that's one of your goals, to build a positive, to expand your community that you already have. And I suppose, lastly, what do you want your legacy to be? What is it that you want to leave behind when you move on?
Great question. For me, it's very much about inspiration and kindness. Those are my two top values. So creating a platform such as Psychologies, to me, is everything. So it's a place where you can be soothed, inspired, and find people who will be kind when sometimes you are at your -10, at your darkest hour. You've got someone to go, this is the way forward, this is the candle, keep walking.
Well, what I love about this is I find that when I read it's talking to a part of me that wants to grow. And again, just talking about my dad, what's been so fascinating is to see him deteriorate, and when seeing something you love, seeing it die in front of you is very difficult.
Yeah.
But what's beautiful is to get to see the essence of who he really is.
Yeah.
So when people have come to see him, who he doesn't just like, but he loves, this thing inside him just comes alive, and you see the humour in him, you see the joking in him, and that's the essence of who he is.
Yeah.
And I think what this does is it does talk to the essence of where it touches something in people, where they want more, where they just want to grow. They want self-worth, because a lot of people are feeling lost, confused, because they're playing a game that really isn't that nourishing, I think.
And it's meaningless.
Yeah.
It makes the life feel completely meaningless.
Yeah. Well, I'm really excited to see where this goes.
Well, I'm hoping you're going to come and do a regular slot for us on Facebook Live from now on.
Nothing would give me, as you know, greater pleasure. Put me in front of a camera. I'm alive. I mean, I love to inspire people. So which camera? Which one do you want? This one? So obviously people can find us in the newsagents and stuff, but if people want to subscribe to Psychologies magazine,
just go to our homepage, psychologies.co.uk, and you can subscribe there, and there's great gifts, and you get the free Life Leap Club. It's fantastic.
Get a free what?
free gift. You get free creams and, worth hundreds of pounds. It's brilliant. And you get access to the Life Leap Club.
I would really, really check it out. I guarantee you, if you read this magazine, you will end up taking some little gems and some nuggets into your life. Thank you so much. It was a real pleasure to have this time to talk to you.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
It's my pleasure. Go out there, get yourself a copy of Psychologies magazine today, or subscribe. Go to psychologies.co.uk and change your life, not now, but right now. Thank you. Goodbye.